Okay, welcome to our radical cross stitching event. Today we are combining the idea of cross stitching with raising awareness about Belarusian political prisoners, and I have some information about situation with political prisoners in Belarus. After this, Mariana will help you to pick some project, and we'll be doing cross-stitching. And it's also possible to write some letters to Belarusian political prisoners, but it's kind of difficult to pass these letters to them, but we'll try to do our best. And I got this report from Belarusian community. I'm myself Russian, and I'm mostly working with human rights of Russian people, but situation is kind of similar to ours, and I got this information. So there is a huge problem of political repression in Belarus, especially after civilian protests after elections in 2020. And according to human rights activists, there is more than 1,200 political prisoners in Belarus, and the amount of political prisoners in Russia is the same, but Belarus is way more smaller, and they don't have so many people in the country, so I think these numbers are insane. And these political prisoners were not always some political leaders or journalists or activists, were just regular people who were protesting after elections and now they're in prisons. And I myself have many friends who participated in this protest, but they flew away from Belarus and they're safe. But if this person participated in this and they're still in Belarus, it's kind of super dangerous for them because they're still picking people to the prisons. And conditions of detentions are awful, and there's almost complete isolation for prisoners, and sometimes there is no updates on some person for example 2 years, and no one knows if they died or they're just isolated. And this is both terrible for these prisoners and their relatives and their friends. And they also have these punishment cells where you are isolated for some time and you don't have right to have your belongings with you, and you usually there for 10 or 20 days. It's cold there and really uncomfortable. We're also using some labeling for prisoners. We're using yellow stripes on their shoulders. It's a sign to guards and other prisoners that these are political prisoners. And of course, in every prison we have somehow different situation. And for example, in city of Gomel, there's so-called cage of shame. It's a cage outside. It's just outside, and they put women there just to punish them. I know this is harsh topic, but thank you for listening. And there are of course some vulnerable groups, people with bad health or disabilities, elderly people or women, and they're not treating them somehow different than other prisoners. And for example, right now there's 76 prisoners of elderly age, at retirement age, and also some people with they also have some disabilities because of their age. It's serious, and they're not getting any proper medical treatment, of course. And if you're speaking about women under repressions, at least 186 female political prisoners are in custody, even including human rights defenders. For example, Nastya Loika, she's defendant of human Constanta case, and she reported what conditions in which she's held were worsening her health, but nothing changed, as I understood. And United Nations documented like gender-based violence and discrimination in these prisons, and female prisoners were facing humiliation, and were denied access to hygiene, and were being tortured, and there's of course psychological pressure. Since August 2022, human rights activists found out that at least 13 people died in custody or immediately after their release. And there are some people like Ales Pushkin. He was serving a sentence in prison number 1, and he died in intense care due to perverted stomach care. And for example, Igor Lednik, he was a political prisoner with second-degree disability. He was serving his sentence in penal colony number 2, and despite his poor health, he was sentenced to imprisonment. While in prison, his condition worsened, and he underwent gastroenterological surgery, and the cause of the death was like cardiac arrest. Like, I have more cases, but let's go. It's even hard to me to read it and tell it. And there is like a kind of well-known case of Andrei Podnebesny. It was the 9th death of a political prisoner. Hey. He was like a Russian citizen who had lived in Belarus since childhood. He was arrested in November 2021, and in June 2022 he was sentenced to nearly like 17 years in prison, and KGB added him to a terrorist list, and this prevented him from receiving like money transfer, phone calls, and care packages from his loved ones. And if you don't have this context of care packages like in Russia and Belarus, like prisoners were mostly relying on these care packages because food is usually terrible, and if you have like some family or friends who will help you with this, your like time in prison will be so much better to what extent which is possible. So like it's literally cutting them from communication with anyone, and also from getting proper food. And no wonder why people who been released from Belarusian prison look so I would say like skinny and older and everything. Hey. Like in general, Belarusian prison, it's destroying people, and there's actually like very tough situation for some families, because there are like many parents behind the bars who have children outside, and where like some families were both mom and dad are in prison, and children basically are growing up without seeing their parents, and this is traumatic, I would say. And there is actually article number 411. This is a tool how to extend the sentence of political prisoners. This means while a political prisoner is serving their sentence, some more new cases could be brought against them while they're in prison. And this could keep you behind the bars for years or even for whole life. And there's like short story of Nikita Yemelyanov. He's anarchist activist, and he was arrested in 2018, and he was only 18 years old, and he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. But later his sentence was reduced to 4 years. But instead of getting released, he got a new case in 2022. 2 years were added, and at this year he got 1 extra year. So now his total sentence is again 7 years. And there are some details about conditions in which Nikita was kept. He was kept for months in punishment cells without mattresses or getting any letters or postcards. He went on hunger strike twice for protest, and one of this was lasting for about 20 days. And I would say what going on hunger strike is the last step when you when you have some struggles for this administration of the prison or something, when they're treating you really bad and you don't know what else to do, you go on hunger strike. And when you go on hunger strike, this is really serious, because you know what you will go on with, and neither they will start treating you better or you will die. And when person start doing this, they know I could die. So this is actually also a sign of how much this situation is desperate. And 20 days is for sure a long time for hunger strike, and after this some mental problems can occur, from my personal experience, because I have one person from Russian prison who was on hunger strike for 40 days. It was awful, and it's really stressful for his for prisoner's family or friends. Hey, have a seat. Okay. And what can we do for these political prisoners? We can try to write them a letter. I will tell you how, but it should be in Russian. But we can use any translator, and there are some Russian native speakers who can check your message to prisoners. And we also will do cross-stitching today, and we could try to pass something to these prisoners to somehow cheer them up. And the last part of this report is about last developments and possibilities of release. Maybe you heard about latest release. It was in June 2025, and I don't know, thanks to Trump, but it happened after Donald Trump personally discussed releases with Lukashenka, and they released 52 people this year, and human rights defenders were trying to release more and more people, and they state what active diplomacy in humanitarian approach are producing results, and without negotiation and pressure on European governments, people will continue to die in prisons and their life will be ruined. And there is a website, it's called releasenow.org, and there you can sign the manifesto, and our friends from Belarus were kindly asking you to do this. And yeah, this is pretty much everything for today. Now we can a bit relax with cross-stitching, and now Marina will tell us what to do next.